Hi, welcome to Audiobook Academy. This is a self-paced audiobook. There's no need to keep an eye on things. Just pay attention. Thank you for taking the time to listen. This is a book summary of How to Become a Straight A Student by Cal Newport. A step-by-step guide to becoming an A+ student. The unconventional strategies real college students use to achieve high grades while spending less time in the classroom. Cal Newport contributed to this report. Imagine a straight A student in your mind's eye. It's likely that you envision someone who studies for a long period of time and has little social life, or someone who is irritatingly and naturally gifted. This humorous and practical guide to succeeding in college while also having a good time is written for students of all ages. Working hard or being naturally talented are not required for success, and Newport's study demonstrates that straight A students share a number of characteristics and employ similar unconventional tactics to work smarter rather than harder. It is in Cal Newport's second book that we are introduced to a new way of thinking about education and study. The results of Newport's freshman year at Dartmouth were less than satisfactory. He studied hard but did not attain the outcomes he desired. The result of this was that he had to reevaluate his learning methods and implement various strategies and hacks in order to maximize his studying performance. Through the Honor Society, he was introduced to other straight A kids and gained some valuable insight into what makes a well-rounded individual. Through interviews, Newport discovered that cramming for exams and pulling all-nighters is not an effective strategy to prepare for exams. Those who labor assiduously are simply working more, without achieving the intended outcomes, and this only contributes to tension and stress. Naturally, the people he interviewed were intelligent because they were able to get into college, but what distinguished them from the rest was their study tactics and plans, as well as their ability to finish projects on time and with excellence. The necessity of studying is not minimized in How to Become a Straight A Student. A thirst for learning is encouraged via the reading of this book. Inspiring reading that will put you on the way to knowledge, and Newport gives us with useful ideas that are simple to implement through the use of case studies, examples, and science. There are 3 sections to a book: how to study effectively, how to perform well on examinations, and how to create better essays and papers. We'll take a quick look at some of the most important aspects to get you started on your journey to become more productive and motivated to study. An uncomplicated formula for success. Before a test, how many hours do you dedicate to preparation? And, how many hours do you believe you will need to devote to your studies in order to achieve the greatest possible results? There are many students who are arduously working and grinding away on the normal college campus, as you can observe by walking around. When it comes to school, these adolescents are typically overwhelmed with anxiety and tension, and they frequently crumble under the weight of it all. College isn't supposed to be like this, and if you find yourself struggling to keep up, it may be time to reevaluate what you're doing wrong in your studies. High achievers do manage to have it all, according to the findings of Newport's research, which demonstrates that college should be about striking a balance between employment and campus life. Typically, students make the mistake of believing that working hard equates to putting in the biggest amount of hours possible. Despite the fact that this is a completely outdated idea, research has demonstrated that simply because you are devoting time to something does not imply that you are being productive in your efforts. There are 2 types of work, according to Newport. Between pseudo-work and genuine work, there is a distinct distinction. When it comes to pseudo-work, grinders tend to spend more time on it than A students do actual work. Following these discoveries, Newport developed his signature concept of deep work, which is the notion that working properly requires concentration and intensity rather than time. We must complete our jobs swiftly and efficiently in order to move forward, and this is true for everyone, not just college students. It is important to work efficiently in order to reduce the amount of time and energy lost. In classic Newport fashion, he provides us with a winning formula that will assist us in simplifying this concept further. W equals D multiplied by I is the formula for this. The letter I stands for intensity, and it is this component that will determine the outcome of the game in the long run. Rather of focusing on and praising the amount of time spent studying, research has found that concentration and intensity are substantially more important. Take a look at the formula and you'll understand what we mean. For example, if you have a major math exam to prepare for, you might set aside 20 hours to devote to your preparation efforts. Working for 10 hours each day over the course of 2 days is a good option. However, due to the fact that you've been working for 10 hours straight, you're likely to be inattentive and distracted during that time period. Give yourself a 4 out of 10 for your intensity levels if you want to be liberal with your assessment of yourself. This translates to 40 hours according to the calculation, as 10 hours multiplied by an intensity level of 4 equals 40. It is likely that you can guess the direction we are heading in with this. In the other direction, If we increase the intensity level to 10, we just need to work for 4 hours to get the desired result of 40 degrees. Consequently, concentrating on intensity will help to solve the problem because it will significantly minimize the number of hours required to complete it. Using this approach, you can work smarter rather than harder. In addition, if you are not accustomed to doing serious work, or in-depth labor, you may find it difficult to start with just 1 hour of concentrated and disciplined work. Our brain, like all of our muscles, has to be exercised, so start with 30 minutes of serious work and you'll be able to manage up to an hour in no time at all. Be aware of your adversary's capabilities. When it comes to studying or working, what's the number one issue that gets in the way? Procrastination is the greatest significant impediment to achieving our objectives for the majority of us. Because he does not provide us with a magic remedy to overcome procrastination, Newport is at his most pragmatic. As an alternative, he proposes that we recognize procrastination, embrace it, and make an effort to deal with it more successfully. Furthermore, he claims that we are all obliged to postpone at some point in our lives because there is certain work that, in his words, sucks. The fact is that there are many things that we have to do that we will not enjoy doing, but if you want to be at the top of your game and stand out from those around you, you must wage a constant battle against your procrastination instinct. Here's the deal. Procrastination is a disease that affects everyone, and we must all learn to cope. No one is immune to it, but some individuals are able to conquer it because they develop coping mechanisms and refuse to allow it to get the upper hand in their lives. Despite the fact that procrastination is an enemy that will not go away, we can prevail in our battles against it by employing a few carefully considered techniques. The most successful students develop skills for dealing with procrastination and recognize that it is pointless to try to defeat it on their own terms. To help you get over the impulse to delay, here are 5 strategies to try. It is because we lack a sense of responsibility that so many of us postpone so much. When there is no one to keep us accountable, it is easy to make excuses. Accountability is a technique of ensuring that we complete our assignments and achieve our goals on schedule. A work progress journal is recommended in this situation. Throughout the day, make a list of realistic goals that you want to achieve, and at the conclusion of each day, cross off the items that you have completed. If you manage to complete everything on your list, but you think it was a little too simple, you should revise your to-do list for the next day. It is necessary to document the specific reasons why you were unable to complete the assignment on time if you failed to check over everything on your list. The reasoning behind this is that it is far more difficult to accept failure to perform when we are honest with ourselves and have to take responsibility for our own behavior. Suppose you had to write down anything like, "I didn't do my midterm paper because I was binge-watching a television series on Netflix." Development of a strict schedule and routine are the subject of the following strategies. Whenever we're feeling low on energy, we're more likely to procrastinate. We know from Eat Move Sleep that energy requires food, exercise, and sleep in order to function at its maximum capacity. Make sure you've scheduled enough sleep, exercise, and nutritious meals in order to fuel the machine. Linked to this is the notion that, in order to function at our best, we must establish a consistent daily routine. Starting as soon as you wake up and scheduling serious work blocks into your day until you reach dinner time is a good strategy. Schedule long periods of high-intensity work interspersed with shorter blocks of rest to maximize productivity. When we get up in the morning, our brains are at their peak performance, which provides us with the drive to get started as soon as possible. Additional interruptions to schedules occur as a result of unanticipated events or other circumstances. Our ability to account for interruptions to our daily routines will improve if we start early. As part of our planning process, we need to make certain that our work is spaced out and that we do not have too many difficult days in a row. In addition, if you feel that you have worked intensively for an extended period of time, it is okay to take a day of rest. Breaking up and taking time to enjoy one's life is something that Newport strongly believes in. He contends that the most successful college students are able to work well all day and then relax and enjoy themselves in the evenings. Finally, turn the most difficult jobs into a spectacle. On some chores, it is nearly impossible for us to sit down and complete them. Newport recommends that we modify our environments in these kind of situations. It is his contention that if we provide ourselves with an incentive to complete a task that we despise, we are more likely to complete it. Find a quiet coffee shop where you may relax with a cup of coffee and a treat while you study, or go to a park or other green spot to relax in while you study. When, where, and how will this take place? After much deliberation, we have concluded that the earlier we begin studying, the better. The practice of studying first thing in the morning will provide us more time in the evening to relax and enjoy ourselves. The fact is that studying occurs in the classroom as well. Even if you're feeling exhausted or hungover, Showing up to class is vitally necessary if you want to achieve academic success. The practice of missing courses will result in you being forced to constantly catch up on what you missed in class. It also means that you won't be tempted to jam everything in at the last minute if you maintain control over your work schedule. A quiet, uncluttered environment is the most conducive to productive study sessions. Find a range of study locations so that you may switch up your environment if you feel the need for a change of scenery. The absence of any distractions is essential for intensive and focused labor. You should not simply read and reread your notes, which is the #1 advice for effective studying. No matter how thorough your notes are, they will eventually be reduced to the status of a crutch in your life. It is characterized as the fluency illusion because it is created by reading and rereading. In other words, when we have reviewed our notes numerous times and believe that we understand the content, this is called the fluency illusion. With repeated reading, we get the impression that we've grasped the entire subject. In practice, however, we quickly discover that we have significant gaps in our knowledge when it comes to memorizing this information under a test circumstance. It is important to note here that in order to avoid the fluency illusion, it is necessary to remove the crutches associated with studying and to quiz oneself. When it comes to your subject matter, you should be able to teach it from the front row. Just like a skilled teacher doesn't read from notes or a textbook, you should be able to recall and communicate your subject matter in the same way. There are other study advice provided by Newport for various subjects as well. For example, if you're preparing for a history exam, it's recommended that you write structured notes around constructing an argument and then repeating the argument out to yourself. Taking quizzes on your own to check your understanding of math concepts is a wonderful method to learn. If you need to retain information, flashcards can be quite helpful. Regularly carrying along flashcards allows straight-A students to quiz themselves throughout the day as a common practice among them. Studying for more than an hour at a time is counterproductive, and we've discovered the need of taking regular 5 to 10 minute breaks. Dubbed distributed learning, this kind of instruction is used widely. To summarize, whatever you're studying for, make sure to follow the distributed learning philosophy. Exactly what will be on the test? What are your thoughts on taking exams? Newport believes that exam time does not have to be stressful for all students, however, he does not believe this is the case. Exam writing can be approached in a methodical manner, and if you're well prepared, this should relieve a great deal of the unnecessary stress. Having mastered the formula for intensive real work, having defeated procrastination, and having discovered the most effective study techniques, you can now turn your attention to exam preparation and study strategies. Organizing your learning should be the first step you take. Determine what is significant and what is most likely to appear in the exam before you begin. In this case, attending lectures and classes will be beneficial, as lecturers frequently provide suggestions about what to expect. Getting straight A's in school is all about paying attention and participating in class discussions. You'll also intuitively know which things are most crucial when you're going over each portion of your task, which will help you save time. The only way to find out is to become familiar with each topic and each side of the discussion. Getting academic disaster insurance, according to Newport, will assure that you won't be assigned a subject that you aren't familiar with. A good strategy for academic disaster insurance is to ask lots of questions during the semester, participate actively in lectures, confer with your professors, and engage in conversations with your fellow classmates. Don't assume that your notes will provide you with everything you need to succeed. Instead, engage with the material and take the initiative. It all comes down to being well prepared and confident when it comes to writing an outstanding exam. In order to write an effective exam, there are several tactics and recommendations to consider. You should begin organizing your approach as soon as you are informed of the results of the exam. You'll be more prepared for what's ahead if you do this first. Having reviewed the exam, prepare a plan for answering each question and set a time limit for yourself, keeping in mind that you will have an additional 10 minutes at the end to finish strong. Begin by responding to the questions that are the most straightforward for you to answer, and then go to the more challenging ones. Not only will you engage your brain right immediately, but you will also build confidence and lay a solid basis for the rest of your answers if you follow this strategy. Finally, spend the final 10 minutes of your exam script proofreading and modifying it. That essay was AA. Writing papers and essays is an important part of college life, and you should make the most of the opportunity to do it while also enjoying yourself. According to Newport, the ideal way to begin writing a paper or essay is to choose a topic that you are interested in and want to get started on right away. This study and writing experience will either be enjoyable or frustrating depending on your starting point. There is nothing more unpleasant than writing when one is under time constraints or unsure of what one should write about a particular subject. Consequently, It is critical to devote sufficient time to contemplating a subject that is of personal interest. The wonderful thing about college assignments is that they provide a great deal of latitude in terms of developing original concepts from a vast subject matter. Whenever we're sincerely interested in something, it's a satisfying and fulfilling experience, as well as a straightforward experience. Students are able to identify what they are interested in and then generate ideas based on that discovery and development. In order to organize your paper and split it down into sections before you begin the research and writing process, you should first scaffold your paper. When you know what issues and topics you need to cover, as well as what places you need to fill in any gaps, it will be much easier to conduct research on those topics. Consider this: college is a time to discover what you are passionate about, so keep an eye out for potential writing subjects. Having chosen a subject, begin by broadening your scope and then becoming more specific. The majority of your important ideas should be supported by at least 2 sources, and it's acceptable to rely on a single key source for any additional ideas. Do not squander time over researching and wandering into rabbit holes, since research is about knowing when you have enough knowledge. Shortly put, know when to call it a day. It's a good idea to take frequent breaks when working or studying. While performing routine duties such as washing dishes or taking a shower, we often have the most creative ideas. Perhaps taking a break will help you to come up with some new ideas and concepts. It's also a good idea to read a range of articles, essays, and talks in order to increase your inspiration and creativity levels. Upon typing the final word in your essay, you might believe that you've accomplished it. The importance of good editing and proofreading, on the other hand, is well known among straight-A students. In order to determine if your argument is cohesive and whether any information is missing from your essay, ask yourself the following questions. When you conduct your initial big-picture edit, you should also look for areas of confusion. Afterwards, print out your paper and make any necessary edits with a pen or pencil while simultaneously reading it out loud. Make the necessary corrections and then print out the paper again. You'll be much more likely to notice typos on a hard copy document than on a computer screen. To finish, take a deep breath and sincerely savor and appreciate the document you've just finished composing. Take pride in the material that you have submitted to the university. At the end of the day, straight ahead guy, what you need to know. A student is not a book that will assist you in passing or achieving good results solely for the purpose of passing or achieving good outcomes in your studies. The same can't be said for it being a magic wand that will transport you to your destination. It is a book about instilling the importance of focus and discipline in our lives, which makes the quest of knowledge a more interesting and fulfilling undertaking. This book provides us with practical techniques to regain some control in a world that is becoming increasingly stressful and where there is widespread disillusionment about the future. While attending college is important, it shouldn't be about doing it because you have to or doing it because it's the right thing to do. The purpose of education is to obtain new knowledge and abilities while also having a good time doing so. Furthermore, by achieving success in college, you will open the door to a plethora of additional chances and experiences in your future. Greater feeling of self-determination empowers us to take charge of our lives and assume greater responsibility for our destiny. More than that, Newport demonstrates how to acquire practical abilities that will allow us to apply our knowledge to real-life situations. Finally, it is important to remember that intensity, focus, and discipline are all commodities that are becoming increasingly scarce in our society. Your contribution to the planet will be immeasurable if you are successful in using these riches. It is entirely up to you whether or not you want to be a straight-A student. All you have to do is ask yourself, I have what it takes to do concentrated and intense genuine work? Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Please don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. See you in next audiobook.